Have you noticed a T-shirt placket? It is not top stitched, it has no joining at the down, but it is very relaxed. In this video, I'll be sharing with you the most easiest method on how you can achieve this. Kindly take note that this placket is not only used on polo shirt, it can also be used on your Ankara depending on how you desire to style it. So quickly, let's get started. I have cut out the front piece, and for the neck width I use 3 inches wide and 2.5 inch neck depth. So I'll go ahead to place this on fold on the wrong side of my fabric, and I'm going to iron this to get a center line. Now I'll open this up. As you can see, my center line will be a guide for me. I'm going to take my paper stay, and it's going to be 1.5 inches wide. I'll place it there, and the length of my paper stay is 9 inches long. So I'll trim out any excess I have aside from that 9 inches. So I'll go ahead to iron this down using my center line as a guide. So I'll go ahead to flip this to the right side and trim out any excess I have. Now, to make sure that the front is very smooth, I went ahead to re-iron it on the right side. So I'll still go ahead to place this on fold, re-iron this to get my center line, because you need your center line as a guide. Now, after you have gotten your center line, you are going to mark half of an inch on the both side of your center line, half to the right and half to the left, giving you a total of 1 inch. Okay, so you just mark it out like this all the way to the top with a dotted line first, and you go ahead to connect it together with a straight line. From the top neckline, I'm going to come down by 7 inches. I'm going to mark it at the both ends of my line. I'm going to connect this up. This is going to be the depth of our placket. Now, you are going to mark inward 0.25 inch. Okay, you just mark it inward from your previous line. You mark it on the both side. We are marking 0.25 inch. Okay, just mark it inward on the both side, and you also connect it with a straight line like this. Now, from the down part, you go up by half of an inch on the both corners, and you connect it with a straight line. The next thing you need to do, in between these two lines, you are going to create a slanted line to touch the both corners like this on the both side. I'm going to be showing you the essence of all these lines as we proceed. Okay, so I went ahead to get a long piece that I'll be using for our placket. I'll go ahead to iron my paper stay on it before I cut out the width of my placket. After ironing this, I'm going to place this on fold and iron it again. Now, for your placket width, you are expected to cut something that is wide enough to cover or occupy the space of this place very comfortably without any squeeze. So for your placket, you are going to be measuring and marking out 1.25 inches. I advise you use your pen to mark it out so that you can get an exact, because any excess will not really be nice for your placket. So I'm going to go ahead to use this for my 2 plackets. I'll place it on fold and divide this into 2. The length of this placket should be 2 inches longer than your actual length. So I have 9 here, while my cutout is 7. If you would prefer your collar to stop some inches before your placket, you are going to finish the top part of your placket neatly like you see me do, and you flip it to the right side so that your collar can stop some inches before the end of your placket. But for me, I want my collar to go all the way to the end of my placket, so I'm going to leave that part on sewn. That is why I am cutting this out. So this is my material. I'm going to cut this out, and you are cutting this out following your 0.25 line you marked inward of your 1 inch line. Now, when you are cutting this out, you have to be very careful at this point. That is why I advise you use pen to mark it out. You are going to mark this out, and you are stopping on your 0.5 inch line downward. You can see how I took my time and carefully cut to that point so that I will not go beyond that point. So you cut this out like so. You're going to take your placket, you're going to place it on the right side, and I advise that your mark out line should be facing you so that you can follow your line correctly. Now you're going to sew this all the way from the top to the end of your line, not your 0.5 inch mark upward. So I've gone ahead to sew this all the way to the end. Your folded part of your placket should be facing your armhole, while the open part is the part you are going to stitch down. If you remembered earlier, we went up from the length of our placket by half of an inch. Then we went ahead to make a slanted line like this. Now, after you have sewn your placket on it, you are going to be cutting out this slanted line that we made. Okay, so this is the wrong side of my shirt. I am so sorry, my camera was reflecting and I did not know it. So what you have to do is to follow the slash all the way to the tip of your stitch. All right, do not exceed it and do not cut through your stitch. That's why I advise you make a slash. You do that for the both side, and when you are done, you are going to be getting a flip cutout like so. Okay, you'll be seeing the essence of this cutout as we proceed. So you go ahead to flip this to the right side, and you are going to put in your placket inward like before you go ahead to iron it. So you're going to arrange this. One is going to be on top of another. That is, one will overlap the other one. So you arrange it accordingly and you go ahead to iron this down. Ironing is a major and a very important part of this polo placket. So after ironing this down, at this point, you have to push in that your cutout to be inward, and you want to ensure that it is straight, okay? Make sure you arrange it very well before you go ahead to iron it, because your ironing is going to give you a guide on how to sew it. So next, I'm going to flip this to the wrong side, and I'm going to sew this down to the placket at the down, okay? You are not top stitching this on the right side. No, you are flipping it to the wrong side and you are holding this cutout and the placket together to stitch it up. So here I have gone ahead to stitch and my stitch line is not even showing at the top. So what I did was I followed my line and I sewed it together with the placket, which I started from the side of my slash to the other side of my slash. I believe you can remember how we got the slash, and you can see how neat this is. So you go ahead to iron this down as well. Join the back to the front. Make sure the round neck, because you are going to be using the total neckline to cut out your collar. So I went ahead to cut out a piece equal to my total neck circumference plus 1 inch. So I'll place this on fold and I'm going to iron it up. After ironing this up, I'm going to place it on another fold again to get my center line, and I would also iron it again. Now, for the width of my collar, I am using 3.5. I'm going to mark the 3.5 and I'm going to cut it out. Next, I'll flip the open part, which is the front, to my side. Mark 0.5 inches upward and connect it with a curved line to the back part. So next, I'm going to place this on fold and I'm going to start sewing 0.5 inches upward. Okay, on the both sides, you start 0.5 inches upward and you sew the side. So after you have sewn this, you leave 0.5 inches unsewn. You flip this to the right side and you go ahead to iron this down again. So after ironing this down, you are going to pick out one piece or one layer of the collar and you are going to trim out 0.25 inch from the one piece of your collar, not the two parts. Okay, and you place it on fold and you notch the center of your collar, both the longer and the shorter collar piece. You take your fabric, you place it on fold as well, notch the center of the neckline, and you make sure you overlock your placket before you go ahead to fix your collar for a very neat finish. Now you're going to be using the shorter part of the collar or the part you trimmed out. You're going to be placing that part on the right side, notched point together, and you go ahead to sew this all around. So after sewing the shorter part, you're going to be using the longer part to cover up the sewn part, which is going to be done on the wrong part of your fabric, because your collar is more obvious on the wrong part than on the right side. So you just arrange it as you see me do. You'll be top stitching this at the very tip of your fold. Then you go ahead to iron this up, put your buttonholes, and that will be all. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next streetwear tutorial. Bye.